won our first game, but then we had a series of losses, some of them close. And so as a team, we were trying to figure out, how the rest of our season was going to look, and we really wanted to win.
So this game started off with a sort of an ugly bunch of stuff going on the first point. So there were about 4 drops. There were numerous hucks into double coverage. It started off like the sort of game that you would expect an underdog to have more of a chance in.
It was a really close game the whole way through. I think for the majority of it, they were probably up 1 point to 2.
I know for most of the first half, we were trading or down by 1. And then at the end of the first half, someone called that timeout.
So a large part of how this game turned out was due to sort of timeout shenanigans as they went out through the game. The first of these was a scenario where the Dogfish were attempting to huck down the field, score before the quarter runs out, and they may have rushed a little bit. So they hucked a turnover sort of into the back corner of the end zone. And Portland, with what they thought was sort of the right decision, they decided to call a timeout, except that they didn't have any timeouts, which meant that the disc went back to the Dogfish. And Gabe just picked up the disc and threw a goal right away after it came back in. And that led to the difference between an 8-6 game at half and an 8-7 game at half.
Everybody really looked around at halftime and said, hey, we've been here before. We were here week 1 or week 2 in this exact same position. We tied them up. We went ahead, and then we let them pull back and take the game. We're not going to let that happen.
Portland scored 7 points, and the Dogfish's 6 in the third quarter. But it was still just sloppy. They were just turning the disc over here, they were turning the disc over there, they were giving it back. And the only way to think of it is just because you're scoring 7 goals in a quarter doesn't mean you should have scored 7 goals in a quarter, or you shouldn't have scored even more than that in a quarter. It felt like the thing that Portland needed to do after that third quarter run that they made was play very strongly at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Instead, what happened when the fourth quarter started was Andrew Hooker got a block on a reset pass.
I was playing dump where I could kind of triangulate, where I could see Tad on my right side and see the thrower out of my left. I saw the throw coming and just reacted. It was just instinct. It was just gut. It was an awesome feeling to get up off the ground and see that disc just rolling into our end zone, and knowing that it's a very good chance that we just got a really quick break.
That set the tone for the fourth quarter. It was that block by Hooker right at the beginning. From there, Portland, they just didn't have it.
Great job as well of moving it underneath. And a pop-up one
Sheridan
and a great D by Sheridan, and then Ranahan cleaning up and finishing it off. Chance to tie it here for the Fish. Dogfish are a little spread out. He's going to go for a long shot, and that's just going to be too much. There was a timeout called before the throw,
I was
however.
thinking of that.
Oh, yeah, that was ridiculous, man.
The timeout that Coach Safdie called was perfect.
It was like divine intervention to have a timeout call.
The coach is looking at it from the sideline saying, I can see downfield just as well as you can, and I don't see what you're throwing to, so I'm going to call this timeout before you actually throw the disc.
I didn't realize until, of course, after I'd thrown it, been like, oh man, that was a terrible throw. This is bad. This is a bad time to make that turnover.
The desperation put from Hooker was a high stall count, and Safdie had the wherewithal to think just a half second ahead, and that's really what we needed him for, and that was a huge call.
That was a big time save. Many props to them, to Safdie, for calling that in the moment.
That call at 2:45 in the fourth quarter, that set them up for a 30-second offensive possession after that they just sort of walked up in order to score what would be the tying goal. Without that timeout call by Safdie, there's no way that San Francisco makes the 3-goal run to end the game that they did.
And I remember Sheridan throwing that disc out to Puddles or Nick Thompson for the score, to take the lead with a couple minutes or 30 seconds left in the game. And that was awesome.
I think the kind of 2 or 3 conflicting things going through my head. One was, we really need this point, cannot turn it over. At the same time, we got about 30 seconds left on the clock. I'd love to wind those down, but at the same time, we have to punch it in. And I turned around and I saw Nick Thompson going, and I put it and immediately went, well, that was too far. And then Nick reeled it in, and it was kind of this dumbfounded moment into elation.
That last 30 seconds where we pulled and had to defend for 30 seconds was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing energy to be in there for that.
Portland is sort of controlling the disc pretty well. They're not taking any rush shots specifically. They're moving it up sort of the close side of the field to the camera.
Disc came on just like 10 yards out near the Dogfish sideline. And I knew we were within 10 seconds of the game ending, so it was a critical time. And I looked up field and I saw my teammate Mike McGurk, his man Tyler Cable was making a hard run. So I sloughed off of Tad and moved on to Tyler and just tried to match his speed.
The moment that throw went up and I saw Hooker on it, knew that D was possible, and he just made this great play.
And there was some contact on the upline cut. I don't think there was I think it was a totally normal amount of contact, but you're waiting and you have that moment where you're like, okay, the refs, no flag, no whistles, nothing, we're good, right? Yeah, a little bit of tension there. That's sports, right? Just waiting to see if we've all done it on the up and up.
It felt awesome. It felt awesome to get that and hear the crowd.
There's this moment where everybody realizes, oh man, we've got this. Everybody, 1 second is less than 7, right? We don't have to throw the disc. I think everybody does this stupid mental math just to make sure 1 is less than 7. There's no way we can stall out. All we're doing is screaming at him, don't throw it. Don't throw it. The coaches, the players, don't. And he's hugging the disc, looking at us like we're idiots.
If I could have hidden it under my shirt in a more secure fashion, I would have done that. It's the sort of thing where you don't even want to take the chance of, if I had 4 hands, I would put all 4 hands on the disc.
I remember giving McGurk like a really hard high five and just like feeling so proud of our team.
And that is the game. Dogfish defeat the Portland Stags.
Amazing.
The undefeated record is over. And an amazing 18-17 win by the San Francisco Dogfish.
It was such a great feeling, that game was down to the last second.
It was very exciting. Guys like Bjorklund and Purston are guys I've been following for a long time and never gotten to play against. And to take them on and beat them was stellar. It was really amazing.
It just took them time to figure out what they needed to do to be a good team. It's not that they didn't have good players, and it's not that they didn't have a good game plan. It's just they needed it all to work together. It's like the difference between having all the ingredients for cake and having a cake.
Dogfish, more than almost any other team, really is picking and pulling from various club teams. And so there isn't going into the pro season, there wasn't that cohesion. And that was a lot of building that we had to do.
Yeah, we saw glimpses. Of our potential at various points throughout the season, and that game is a stark example of that.